Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Sayyid Akif Shah, lecturer finance at Institute of Business Studies, Kohat University of Science and Technology. The title of this course is Intermediate Accounting and the course code for this subject is BS 363. This is lecture number 17 and the topic for today's discussion is departmental accounts and the allocation of expenses over different accounts or different departments. The outline of this lecture consists of the discussion related to what is meant by the departmental accounts and what are two procedures known as accounting procedure for recording the departmental accounts on the basis of independent and the columnar basis. Last topic of this lecture consists of the detailed discussion regarding how to allocate the common expenses over different departments. Let's discuss what is meant by departmental accounts. Let's suppose if a company is a conglomerate type of company, it consists of too many departments. Like let's take an example of Procter and Gamble. It is a conglomerate company. It consists of an oil department, it consists of soap department and beverages and other grocery departments might be included in the company. So when a company consists of different or multiple departments, it usually required to make the profit and loss statement along with the trading account for each department. So basically there are two methods. One is known as the independent basis to record the departmental account and the second one is columnar, which will be shortly discussed. But before delving deep into the concept of the two methods of recording the departmental account, we have to be clear about what is actually the departmental accounts and what they consist of. So if a business is divided into a number of departments, the accounts have to be kept in such a manner as to disclose not only the trading results of the business as a whole, but also the trading results of each department, so that we should be acquainted with the profit and loss pertaining to the specific department A, B, and C. So usually such kind of different accounting treatments are done by those companies which consist of number of departments, like for example department A, department B, department C, and each is headed by its own manager who is responsible for the profit and loss related to that specific department. Let's discuss what are the objectives of departmental accounts. Number first is to have the comparison of the results of particular department with the previous year and also with the other departments of the same concern. For example, if a company has three departments A, B, C, then we can compare the profit of A with B and B with C or vice versa with each other. Along with that, we can also compare the profit and loss of one department A in 2019, then we can compare the same department's profit in 2018, and then subsequently if the next year completed in 2020, then we can also compare each department horizontally as well as vertically regarding their profit and loss and different operation going on. Second objective is to help the proprietor in formulating the policy to expand the business on proper line. It elaborates which department is contributing best towards the general profitability of the company. Therefore, we can easily highlight the specific department which can be beneficial to the company in general. So the company's proprietor may be easy to formulate the policy regarding expansion of that specific department. The third objective could be to allow departmental managers commission on the basis of profit of their department. Let's suppose the company have three departments A, B, and C. If the company's A's department is prospering and performing the better result in comparison to department B and C, then the top management may grant the extra commission and bonuses to the manager of department A. Such kind of policies assist or motivate the other department's manager as well to outperform our profits. The fourth objective is to measure the profitability of each department independently so that the top management may know that which department is going in profit and which one is in loss. What are the accounting procedure? We have two procedure. Number one is independent. What is this? In this method, the accounts of each departments are maintained separately. So each department prepare its own trading and profit and loss account separately. Finally, the profit and loss of each department is transferred to the journal profit and loss account for all departments so that make a compiled consolidated financial statement related with profit and loss. The drawbacks, what are the drawbacks of this procedure? It is very expensive because each department have separate books of account and a separate accountant needs to be paid out a fixed remuneration or salary. So therefore it is very expensive to have separate books of account for each department. Usually it involves the overlapping of accounts and consequently wastage of time and money, as we are having multiple trading and profit and loss accounts related with each department. So therefore there is a chance of overlapping of account does exist. Also, it consumes too much time and money of the company to carry on with the independent basis of departmental accounts. The second one, which is most usually used by different companies, if the number of departments in a particular company are less than 5 or less than 7. So normally such kind of departmental accounts are used or the basis accounting procedure is used by most of the companies because this enable the accountant to have a single set of book. Along with that, all accounts of all departments are maintained together but in a columnar or tabular form. Like company has 3 departments, then first column depict the profit and loss account or trading account of department A, second column for department B, and third column for department C. This method avoids overlapping of accounts and is also less costly in comparison to independent basis. It suits the public and customer convenience as well because they will have a single invoice of purchases rather than to have the multiple invoices made by different departments in independent basis of recording. So the third agenda of this lecture is allocation of common expenses over different departments. Let's suppose if the company has 2 or 3 different departments, then how different kind of expenses may be allocated to the different departments in order to know either the department A, B, and C is going in profit or in loss, and what are the different expenses level pertaining to department A, B, and C. So we have basically 4 different kind of condition. Number first, for allocation of expenses. First one is expenses incurred for the direct benefit of a particular department. Second one is let's have an overview in this slide and then we will discuss these 4 points one by one in detail in upcoming slides. Second one is expenses incurred for the benefits of more than one departments, but which can be allocated to them on some obviously just principle. The third can be the expenses incurred for the benefits of more than one department, but which cannot be allocated on some obvious just principle. Then what we have to do. And the fourth condition says when the expenses which cannot be allocated in a reasonable manner, then what the companies or what are the rules that allows the accountant to manage or allocate such kind of expenses so that to make a final profit and loss statement. Let us discuss one by one in detail regarding these kind of conditions. Number first was the expenses incurred for the direct benefit of a particular department. As the statement states and narrates that if a particular expense is related to or specific to one particular department A, let's suppose, then definitely such kind of expenses must be treated in department A only so that to reach at the final profit and loss statement of that particular department. What could be those kind of expenses? Special advertisement which is specifically related or promoting the product of Department A. So therefore such kind of advertisement expense must be allocated in Department A's profit and loss statement. We may also have special insurance of the stocks which are available in the Department A. If the Department A stock has been insured by certain package, then this insurance expense must be treated specifically for Department A. Similarly, we can have special departmental salaries for those employees who are working specifically in Department A. Those should not be treated. Such salaries must not be treated in the profit and loss statement of Department B. Let us discuss the second condition, which is a detailed condition and requires the high level of emphasis by the accountant, which states that expenses incurred for the benefit of more than one department. Let's suppose if the company has made certain kind of expenses which are covering or facilitating all the departments of the company, but which can be allocated to them on some obvious just principle. Like for example, if there are different departments A, B and C, if the Department A is quite larger and it is such kind of expense is benefiting the Department A in larger sense, we might have a lower or smaller department in comparison to A, and similarly we can have a very small department of the company as Department C. So when there is certain obvious just principle, then we have to allocate the expense according to the usage of each department. What are those obvious just principle? This will be discussed shortly. The first one says that expenses which clearly depends upon sales. Expenses which depend upon sales, such as selling commissions of the sales representative, bad debts related with any specific department, discounts on the sales of each department. Similarly, carriage outward, the expenses the company is going to bear for giving the delivery of the product to the doorstep of the consumer. Such kind of expenses should be based on the basis of sales of the specific department. So we have to basically calculate the ratio of the sales of Department A with respect to the overall sale of the company, and this ratio will enable us to multiply the specific expense. Let's suppose if that expense is a selling commission, then we have to multiply the selling commission, which is, let's suppose the company has paid 1000 rupees in selling commission in overall, then what could be the part of that selling commission expense to be charged in Department A. The formula will be the A's department sales, whatever number of rupees, divided by the total sale of the company by all departments, then multiply this ratio with the sales commission value, which is 1000 rupees, and we will have the specific expense for Department A pertaining to the selling commission. And similar mechanism may be used for the rest of the expenses if those are in the company. Also, such expenses can be allocated sometime on the basis of number of units sold related with each department. The same condition continues on for different kind of expenses. Condition B states that expenses on building and premises should be allocated according to the area. As previously I explained that if the Department A is quite larger than the Department B and Department C, so let's suppose if total number of rent paid by the company, such expenses include rent and rates, insurance on building and repair as well. So the Department A will be allocated with maximum amount of rent in comparison to B and C because it occupies the larger amount of area. C condition state how to allocate lighting and heating expense should be allocated on the basis of number of points unless metered separately. If the meters or electricity meter are separate for Department A, B and C, then we can have straight away electricity consumption and the specific expense related with electricity can be allocated accordingly. However, if there are no separate meter and if a general meter has been installed for the company, then the electricity expense may be divided on the basis of lighting points or heating points in each department. Like for example, department A is larger in size and it has, let's suppose, 20 lighting points, and the department B is quite smaller than the department A and it may have 10 units or 10 points for lighting. So we have to make a ratio of the department A and B according to the lighting points, and similarly the electricity or power expense may be charged to each department. If the number of points are not available, then allocation can be made on the basis of area once again. Like if the department A is having, let's suppose, 20 square yard of area and department B has 10 square yard of area, then once again we can divide the lighting and heating expense on the basis of ratio of area occupied. The condition D states what to do for depreciation expense. Like depreciation for each machine should be calculated separately and charged to each department. We have to compare two different departments, once again department A and department B. So in case of absence of the proper measure, it may be allocated in the ratio of sales. If each machine cannot be depreciated accordingly, rather the company is going to depreciate all the machine and then have to charge the depreciation expense pertaining to department A and department B, then we can also use the ratio of sales what we have discussed in condition A. Condition E states what to do for the power charges. Once again, the power or electricity expense may be charged on the basis of meters separately. We have to install the different meter for department A, department B and department C. If the meters are separate, we may have a specific electricity consumption for each department, and it will not be confused how to allocate this expense in the profit and loss statement related to each department. So they should be allocated according to the horsepower of the machinery used. If there is no separate meter, then we have to measure that how many horsepower department A is using, how many horsepower department B is using, and similarly the C1, and then we have to adjust for the differencing in running hour as well, because the horsepower multiplied by how many hours department A was utilizing it, let's suppose 6 hours in a day, and similarly horsepower and multiply by, let's suppose department B operated for 4 hours in a day. So in this fashion we can come up with the power expense related with each department. Let's discuss condition F for insurance premium, what to do and how to allocate insurance expense. This should be charged according to the value of the subject matter insured. Like whatever subject matter related with department A has been insured for a specific product, then such insurance expense should be treated in department A's profit and loss statement, and this should not be treated in department B. This means the value of the subject should be emphasized, and accordingly such kind of insurance expense may be allocated to the department. Insurance on goods, how this expense may be allocated, should be allocated on the basis of average stock lying in each department. Let's suppose if the company has insured 100 products or 100 units of its inventory, and those 100 units, out of this 100 units, 60 are lying in department A, and similarly 40 products are lying, or inventory is placed in department B. So how to allocate the insurance expense related with each department? We have to see that if, let's suppose, rupees 100 has been paid for the insurance of this department, both the inventory of 100 units, then out of this 100 rupees, 60 rupees expense on insurance will be charged in department A, and 40 will be charged in Department B. We can also allocate the workman's compensation insurance should be located on the basis of wages paid. Another kind of expense like workman compensation insurance may be paid or allocated on the basis of wages paid to each worker in the specific department. Condition G states how to allocate labor welfare expenses. These expenses should be allocated on the basis of number of workers in each department. Let's suppose if the Department A is a larger department, it has, let's suppose, 50 workers, and the Department B has comparatively smaller department and it has 20 workers, then the labor expenses should be allocated according to the number of workers working in a specific department. This means if the labor welfare expense has been paid by the company is rupees 100, then we have to make a ratio for Department A. What will be the part of this expense for Department A? We have to divide 50 by the total number of workers, which is 50 and 20, 70. And now we come up with the ratio of Department A and Department B, and then we'll have to multiply this 100 expense, labor welfare expense, and we will have the specific expense pertaining to Department A. In a similar fashion, we can calculate for Department B. We have to divide 20 by 70 because the number of workers in Department B are 20, and then whole divided by total number of workers. Once again multiply it by 100 and we will have the labor welfare expense pertaining to Department B. So this is the way how we can use the ratio analysis or ratio calculation so that we can allocate the expenses pertaining to the specific department at the right place. We can have advertising expense as well. The company generally does advertising, and advertising is usually allocated on the basis of sales of the company. This is the usual way. However, we can also, rather we should allocate on the basis of each department space devoted, because irrespective of the fact the companies are a particular department, sales may be decreasing, but still we have to keep on doing advertising expense. So there are two measures, either to allocate the advertising expense on the basis of sales of the department, like Department A and Department B. We can allocate expenses on the basis of sales of each department, or we can also allocate on the basis of space occupied. As we have taken the example that Department A was quite larger than B, so we can allocate the advertising expenses on the basis of space as well. Let's discuss the third condition, expenses incurred for the benefit of more than one department, but which cannot be allocated on some obvious just principle. Here we don't have the obvious or just principle. So how to allocate? Allocation of such expenses is arbitrary, and depending upon the accountant's judgment we can allocate them. Salaries paid to the manager and expenses of accountant department, for instance, can be allocated arbitrarily by the accountants where he or she think it's appropriate to be allocated. So they can be allocated according to turnover and as well as the cost of goods sold ratio, or any other number of articles sold by that specific department. Finally, we have expenses which cannot be allocated in a reasonable manner. In that case, what to do? The expenses like interest on capital, how to allocate them? Debenture interest, legal expenses of the company and share transfer office expenses cannot be satisfactorily allocated to Department A, B or C, whatever, because these are general expenses and which cannot be specifically allocated. So what to do? We have to, profit revealed by various departments will be brought down in one account so that these unallocated expenses can be debited in that. So after compilation of the record of Department A, B and C, the consolidated profit and loss account should be made or we can say the journal profit and loss account should be made, and then we can minus these interest expense, debenture interest, or the legal expense of the company from the journal profit and loss statement at the end of compilation. So this was all about how to allocate expenses in different expenses to the different department if the company has more than one department, and such kind of allocation is usually used by the conglomerate companies. Thank you very much for listening to this lecture. If you have any confusion in how to allocate expenses related to different departments, you can ask your question freely on KCMS, or another way around, you can also email me on my official email address. Good luck for the day. Allah Hafiz.